One Zambia, One Nation, and thanks for joining us on ZANIS News to present. I'm Juliet Mtele. Top stories in the news tonight. Southern Province Minister calls for measures to curb climate change. Nalolo farmers praise President Higa. 700 small-scale farmers benefit from feast in Wapula. And Senga Hill, DC, cushions workers against lead coming. ZANIS News in detail. The African Export-Import Bank, AFRIEXIM Bank, has committed $1.6 billion United States dollars to Zambia towards the development financing to strengthen the country's food security, among other economic activities. Speaking when he called on President Hakainde at State House today, AFRIEXIM Bank President Benedict Oramah has urged the Zambian government to take advantage of the available financing, considering that it is one of the African countries with the capacity to produce grains African countries are currently importing. Professor Oramah says the initiative is aimed at making African countries food secure and maintain their food security. Meanwhile, President Hakainde has welcomed the development financing, stating that it comes at a time when Zambia and most African countries are currently faced with severe challenges due to climate change.
Following their brief sideline meeting in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, during the 37th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of the Heads of States and Government of the African Union, AFRIEXIM Bank, through its president, Benedict Oramah, is in the country to foster relations between his institution and the Zambian government. The AFRIEXIM Bank president has since called on President Hakainde at State House, where he announced a $1.6 billion development financing to strengthen the country's food security, among other economic activities such as energy.
We have available limit for Zambia of I think $1.6 billion, which we would like to use. It's important to us to be able to use it to diversify our portfolio also, and also to be able to provide support across the continent. We also have an initiative for agriculture that Zambia is well placed to participate in, for which we have committed $1 billion, and we've also gotten our partners from the Arab Africa Trade Bridges, the Islamic Development Bank, and Badia to also match that funding. Zambia is a country we've been doing a lot of business with from the word go. It's one of the countries we have the longest experience in, and it is important for us to continue to do that under your leadership.
President Hichilema, in his response, welcomed initiatives that help to improve the country's economic portfolio, especially in view of the drought situation.
You are also aware that we are now afflicted by a drought, very terrible drought, which really, if it wasn't for the drought and the rains going when we needed the moisture the most, this country was going to register a huge bumper harvest. But we are relentless as we still push for more rain, at least water for human and animal consumption, and just to recharge our groundwater tables. But irrigation now is a big issue for us, Doctor. Very important issue to us, Dr. Oramah and the team. So we would like, as you look at agricultural production involving Zambia, irrigation should sit at the center. Of course, irrigation and productivity improvements. We don't want to go into details, but that's important to us. But in between now and as we get ourselves ready for irrigation, we need to provide food for our people as a critical element as we gravitate towards irrigation.
President Hichilema wants Zambia to be food secure at all costs.
Zambia should not be considered as one to come in phase 2 or 3 on the production side, agricultural production side, because this sits straight in one of our priority sectors, which is agriculture, production, processing, of course, as it were, and then trade around that. So, as you know, Doc, the issue of the food sovereignty for Africa, Zambia put its hand up long time ago when this initiative came through following the Ukraine-Russia war. So we wouldn't want Zambia to be in the next room. We want it to be in the first room.
Other issues that were discussed include that of the establishment of the electrical vehicle EV battery plants. Kalan Muchima reporting for ZANIS in Osaka.
Southern Province Minister Credo Nanjua has called on civil servants in the province to realign the provincial development programs to respond to the negative effects of climate change the region is facing. Mr. Nanjua says in the first of the drought that has hit the province, it is important that some of the community projects funded under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, be realigned to projects that will mitigate climate change. Here are the details.
The prolonged dry spell has ravaged the country in some provinces, and President Hakainde has since declared the drought as an emergency and a national disaster. This has prompted Southern Province Provincial Development Coordinating Committee to strategize and realign its development plans. And Southern Province Minister Credo Nanjua has implored civil servants to prioritize programs that will mitigate negative effects of climate change.
With this drought that has hit the country, it's important that some of the community projects funded under CDF should be aligned to programs that will essentially mitigate the negative effects of climate change. We must prioritize collaboration and cooperation among all stakeholders, be it state or non-state actors. We all have a role to play in shaping the future of our province and indeed our beloved nation.
This is the most important meeting for us as provincial administration, because this speaks to where we want to take the province. This speaks to bringing our people out of poverty.
District administrations have suggestions on how to respond to drought situations.
We are favored with so many areas where we can do agriculture through irrigation. So many areas. And the only farmers we need as a district is less than 100 farmers.
Through some interventions, we feel if this Marima irrigation is revamped, then we can save the people of that side. We have another irrigation in Sinazongwe Ward called Nzenga irrigation. It also needs only minimal capital for us to bring it back to life. And if that is done, it means that our people will be saved. We have another irrigation in membership dome under Mushepa Ward. This is the Atwinga irrigation.
But for Kalomo, I want to suggest that we fund the farmers individually, those that are committed, willing to do the project, and I can assure you the best result will be seen from Kalomo.
Costa Kimdenda, ZANIS, in Joma District, Southern Province.
Thank you, Kostak, for that report. Now, traders in Nalolo District of Western Province have praised President Hakainde for encouraging citizens to engage in the irrigation farming. Meanwhile, Nalolo District Commissioner Namatama Mopo has emphasized the importance of utilizing water bodies surrounding the district. Here are the details.
The Republican President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, in his address to the nation, has declared the ongoing dry spell in most parts of the country as a national disaster. Mr. Hichilema has outlined various measures to mitigate the drought situation, including the initiative of irrigated maize plantations. The traders in Nalolo District have welcomed the President's remarks, but are requesting support in obtaining irrigation equipment.
I would like to appreciate the President for the comment he mentioned yesterday concerning the drought that we have experienced this year. With this national disaster, the only solution is to help the farmers with irrigation equipment. Despite that our canals, our plain is dry, but somehow people can be helped. These irrigation equipments will help us grow winter maize.
President kambe Israel so kwamana ninjimu kenisa ninanga libona halile romundia hunabana masimu aizi kwa munanga waliawa maneno okalukusa kuba kisapule haluna zoko na kusera yesa kambe rufumana likaze choza kulira kona kususa mezi mwali abo kusera ya ninanga no kaba ninjimu zoko na kweza.
Nalola District Commissioner Namatama Mopo has assured the traders that the government is addressing their concerns and has urged them to make use of the nearby water bodies.
The President yesterday addressed the nation on this matter. And now I want to assure the people of Nalolo that the President is concerned about our situation and the situation is going to be addressed. On top of that, we earlier discussed here with the DACO to say we help government to talk to the people so that as a district surrounded by water bodies, we can as well mitigate the same droughts challenges with winter maize so that we can irrigate. They raised concerns about where they are going to get some irrigation equipment to irrigate the maize. I'm sure yesterday this was also emphasized to say government is going to work on mechanisms, talking to partners on how they can help to help our farmers.
Sifwe Mangala, ZANIS News in Nalolo District, Western Province.
Chief Mukanta of the Chisanga people in Kawambwa District in Wapla Province has cautioned these subjects against selling their maize fields. The chief says the habit of some farmers selling maize fields is saddening as it compromises the food security of the country. The traditional leader says anyone involved should stop the act. Kennedy Chomba has the details in this report.
With the president declaring the drought as a national disaster, it is important that areas which are recording good rainfall produce more so as to ensure food security in the country. However, some farmers in areas that are receiving good rainfall like Kawambwa district in Wapla province have resorted to selling their maize field even before harvest time.
Walipokea maripoti area mantapala kukara saidi baada ya mbo kusitisha kuno na tuingirwa kubene Kongo na Tanzania ebale ishitama maka kunchende abakana besa bamushota na bachama kulubwa sana.
Chief Munkanta has since warned all the farmers involved in the habit of selling maize field to stop and only way to sell their maize to the Food Reserve Agency.
Ali tekina kwa measures ayo tuwaebele pamwene mushi ama headman twali bapere chirangiro kumona ko drought kuba nensu iba straight nombole sana tushutishe fatwa kwa temfura alo ubuteko bola tuafua mushire ne tupera ko batupera ko fertilizer so twali imya pamonda chief domu na ali imya lulo yako bati na twaika to omuntu alestisha amataba takuli mulando ifon photo ala afwa amataba tufure twashisha kwe farae.
It is indeed important at this time to safeguard the harvest for the country's food security. Kenneth Chomba reporting for ZANIS News in Mansa District.
Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU National Coordinator Gabriel Poland says the institution has engaged former DMMU National Coordinators John Mwanza and Domiciano Mlenga as part of its response efforts to the ongoing drought situation in the country. Dr. Poland says the former national coordinators who served government diligently come with a wealth of knowledge and experience that will help the institution to come up with a robust and comprehensive response and recovery plan following President Hakainde Hichilema's declaration of the drought as a national disaster.
So the President has given directives, he's provided the guidance and leadership in terms of how we should proceed. And in actualizing that leadership and guidance, we have formed different platforms. And one of the key platforms that we formed as DMMU is to engage our former national coordinators, people who've served diligently in this role and in different capacities, who've dealt with different types of disasters. one of the key messages from the president was an indication that we must do more parts of our resources. And by resources, and it's not just meant material resources, it's also human resources. And that's what we're doing, trying to learn lessons from SWAR officers, what it is they've done, what they could have done. And from that engagement, we hope that we can come up with a robust, comprehensive and effective response and recovery plan in respect to the ongoing drought.
At least 700 vulnerable but viable small-scale farmers in Mwansabombo district in Rapula province are expected to benefit from the Food Security Park, FISP, inputs from the Department of Community Development to implement wetland farming. Assistant Community Development Officer Mark Chiota, who disclosed the development, says his office has already conducted sensitization meetings to identify the potential beneficiaries. More in this report by Lewis Changwe.
The Department of Community Development in Mwansabombo district has conducted sensitization meetings with potential beneficiaries of wetland farming. So far, a total of 824 potential beneficiaries have been identified from 7 community welfare assistant committees, CWACs, but only 700 will be picked to implement the program. Assistant Community Development Officer Mark Chiota explains what has necessitated winter farming.
Mwansabombo will have 350 potential beneficiaries farmers who implement growing of winter maize, and also 350 those who do vegetable. Mwansabombo has a lot of water bodies. We selected about 7 CWACs together with the District Food Security Committee. These are the CWACs who will do the implementation of this program. We are just from doing the targeting where we identified 824 potential beneficiaries. At this stage, then we're going to have a enumeration where we will select 700 beneficiaries.
Mr. Chiota also explains the benefits of winter farming.
The benefit of this program, winter farming, is that one, it will increase household income. Winter farming, especially maize, has got a lot of money, where in just one lima, which has about 22,200 plants, if we are to convert those plants into a cob of maize, we are talking of a farmer having about 60,000 kwacha in just 50 by 50.
Lewis Changwe, ZANIS, Mwansabombo, Rapula province.
Now, employees at Zam Plantation in Kanchibia district have expressed optimism about government efforts towards revamping the operations of the company. Zam General Manager Vasco Sikanyeo says government's plan to engage investors in the restoration of operations at the plantation will help the company to continue contributing towards the economic development in the region. Henry Lumpa Jr. has the rest of the story.
This is Zam Plantation in Kanchibia district of Mchinga province, which is one of the major producers of palm crude oil in the country. However, operations at this company have been poor lately, with low production in palm oil due to changes in the management of the entity. Employees at Zam are, however, optimistic that government will intervene in revamping the company through engagement with various stakeholders.
We are at a stage where we need someone to come in to help us to grow. Yes. Currently, we are at a total of 5,000 hectares, when we should have been running around 12,000 hectares. We have about 16,000 hectares which needs to be grown, but that can only be done when we have a partners coming with them.
Operations, the larger part of last year had gone nosediving, and I think we are still facing them. And we are still hopeful that those challenges that we presented to your office, one day they will be resolved.
And Mchinga Province Permanent Secretary Henry Mukungule, who recently visited the plantation, made an assurance of government's intervention in the restoration process.
Improving or bringing in services that the workers or the people that are living here will need. So government has released the money through CDF and it has been increased. When the waste comes to the waste, I think what we can fall on is the CDF.
With Mchinga province slated to hold the investment forum and expo this year, it is hopeful that an investor will come to the aid of this company. Henry Lompajonia, ZANIS in Kanchiwia, Mchinga province.
Chisanga Hill District Commissioner Elizabeth Goma has cautioned government workers in the area against reporting late for work. Mrs. Goma, who conducted an impromptu visit of selected government departments in the district, says civil servants should report for work on time and deliver the much-needed services to the people. Japhet Munkondia has the details.
Late reporting and early knock-off for duty is very common among civil servants working in rural parts of the country. This is why Chisanga Hills District Commissioner Elizabeth Goma has conducted on-the-spot checks on some government offices in the district to check what time officers report for work. The district commissioner was not happy that some officers were reporting for work as late as 9 hours.
Because he was the one who called me, he was even telling me about the issue of the development committee.
Can I have his number? Can you call him Madawato? I'll charge all of you. They should explain to me one thing when I should not charge them, because at the end of the month, we get paid.
The district commissioner also advised officers to be professional.
This district is new, and we need committed people. We need committed civil servants who are dedicated to their work. That's when, we've been given a challenge. It's a big task for us to be here. So we need to be seen to be working.
Meanwhile, some government workers talked to have welcomed the move taken by the district commissioner to do an on-spot check.
It should continue because we need to pull up and we need to work. We're here in this district to work. So I think for me, I'm very happy, and I hope that this thing should continue. It would be the end.
She's on point to check on us if we report late or we are not in our workplaces. There can never be any complaint for a supervisor to visit you. Her visit is it's like a wake-up call for people to get back to themselves, to the usual time of reporting, and just to change if you are not working properly, the work out.
Reporting for ZANIS in Chisanga Hills, I'm Japhet Munkondia.
Our government has reaffirmed that integrity committees have been constituted in public institutions are inevitable for effective service provision to the Zambian people. Central Province Permanent Secretary Milna Mwanakampwe says the committees help tangible interventions aimed at entrenching a culture of honesty, integrity and responsibility among public workers. Mr. Mwanakampwe was speaking when he officially opened the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services Department of Social Welfare Integrity Committee workshop in Kabwe District. Meanwhile, Anti-Corruption Commission Central Province Regional Manager Brian Mbewe has stressed that it is government's resolve to fight corruption and that officers in positions of authority must set a good example for their subordinates.
Some little voice where we need to provide leadership. Our CWACs, going back to the beneficiaries in the wee hours of the night to tell them that for you to be put on the social cash transfer, you need to give me something, or you must give me something because I'm the one who put you there. There's that still little voice in the wind that we've got to decapitate together, that we've got to end together.
It's the government's resolve to fight corruption by all means. And he said it clearly time and again that if you engage yourself in wrongdoing, you're on your own. Not so. Okay.
There is nothing better than a good name. A good name is more valuable than gold. You can take away everything else, but rather protect my name.
The Zambia Institute of Advanced Legal Education, ZIALI, is conducting its first ever Workers' Compensation Tribunal training. Acting Director and Chief Executive Officer of ZIALI, Leah Ngulube, says the training is not just an opportunity for professional development, but also a commitment to ensure that justice and fairness in the workplace is practiced. Mrs. Ngulube was speaking at the opening of a 4-day Workers' Compensation Tribunal training at Lilai Lodge in Chisanga district. Welcome back. The Ministry of Education in Mapula Province has scaled up efforts to improve learner performance due to the free education policy, which has resulted in high enrollment levels in all public schools in the province. The Provincial Education Office has since introduced a learning framework aimed at improving learner performance. More in this report.
The introduction of the free education policy has seen an increase in access to education countrywide. Luapula Province in particular, the pupil enrollment has increased by 20% from 389,786 in 2021 to 468,320 in 2023 across all levels from early child education to secondary. The Provincial Education Office has since put up measures to improve learner performance.
So as a ministry, with support from UNICEF, we have embarked on, we did a situation analysis to analyze the situation so that we know what weaknesses we have, the opportunities that are there. So after doing a situation analysis, with support from stakeholders, we have produced a learning framework for the Ministry of Education, a first of its kind in Luapula Province. And with the learning framework, it has come with innovations now in teaching. So currently, right now, across all the districts in Luapula Province, we are now upscaling teacher pedagogy in terms of skills at lower levels because we want to eradicate learning poverty so that by the time every child in Luapula Province reaches the age of 10, every child is literate, can read, can add, subtract, multiply, and divide.
The Provincial Education Office has also prioritized infrastructure to deal with overcrowding of learners.
Provision of funds through CDF for construction of school infrastructure and procurement of desks. I'll cite an example of Mansa. There are constructions at Kampalala, that is 1x3 classroom block, then Kapwampwa, 1x3 classroom block, the staff house, and the water supply. At Kale, there's 1x3 classroom block, Chisanga, there's 1x3 classroom block, and then ablution, staff houses, and water supply.
Meanwhile, the United Party for National Development is happy with the strides being made in the education sector.
The implementation is well done, and no one can refute with the numbers. The numbers on the ground, they are showing that from the time when the New Dawn government gave or implemented or actualized the free education, a lot of pupils, they have come back to school. That's the first point to score. Education is an equalizer. Someone who plays around the education is against the people.
Chipidi Makasa, reporting for ZANIS TV in Mansa District, Luapula Province.
Southern Province Minister Credo Nanjua has called on mines operating in the region to collaborate with government and provide sustainable livelihood to the community following the declaration of the drought as a national disaster and emergency by President Hakainde Hichilema, speaking when Maziba Resource Management operating nickel mine in Mazabuka paid a courtesy call on him. Mr. Nanjua expressed happiness that Mariza Resources Limited is stable and has employed more 700 local people. Mariza Resources Limited Manager of Safety, Health, Environment and Social Governance, Lloyd Momba, said his company is targeting to plant 10,000 trees in schools and in Mugoto community to help address climate change.
The adverse impact of climate change on food security due to crop failure has raised concerns and despair among smallholder farmers. And recently, President Hakainde Hichilema declared the crop failure as a national disaster and emergency. Southern Province Minister Credo Nanjua wants mines to collaborate with government in providing sustainable livelihood and employment to the local people.
The numbers of employment that so far you are harnessing there, 769. It's a huge number. Of course, as with the huge numbers of youths, we are still thinking you can even do more. You've heard His Excellency the President Hakainde, indicating that as government, we are committed to ensure that no Zambian will die of hunger. And also we congratulate His Excellency the President for declaring the situation as a national disaster. We are looking forward for your continued participation and continued support to government. And we can also assure you of our support to your investment.
Mabiza Resource Limited General Manager assured the minister that his company is now stable and employed more than 700 local people.
We are quite stable. As a mine, we've reached our production levels that we are supposed to be in. In 2022, we had actually made our first profit. We currently employing about 769 people, including half of that are permanent, then the other half are contractors.
Lloyd Momba is Mabiza Resources Limited Manager of Safety, Health, Environment and Social Governance.
In terms of climate change, climate now is the elephant in the room. It's impacting on agriculture, electricity when you have droughts. And so we've taken it very serious as a mine, and that's why thus far we've planted in excess of 3,600 trees. Our mission this year alone is to get to 10,000 trees.
Gift Banji, ZANIS in Choma, Southern Province.
Thank you, Gift, for that report. Now, Chadiza District Commissioner Malan Zimba has called for the completion of the outer premises of Chadiza District Police Station. Mr. Zimba has since appreciated the service of the Zambia Police, saying the crime rate has significantly reduced in the district.
Today, being Police Day, most police officers have celebrated through social media platforms. For Chadiza District, the district administration took time to familiarize himself with Chadiza Police Station and appreciate their service.
Literally, we have found crime levels in our district have come down because you could see about how many people are getting arrested for the crimes that are done. Crime levels in Chadiza are very low, and that should excite even investors to come to Chadiza, because crime levels in Chadiza are nearing to zero.
For the community, the police are well respected.
Vaonga kungwa kuti ntchito vamene vagwira vasevenza bwino vapitirize. Komanso vafunika kuona milandu izi kuti kodi uno mlandu wake uli bwanji. Kodi ni mlandu wakuti angamangiwe oro vangakambirana. Vaona safunika so khalira so favor komafunika kukhala pakati napakati kuti kodi wola kwa ndani ngati ni wola kwa zona vaweruza machilonga. Vapitirize ndiye vamene ninga vavuzireko vasevenza chabe bwino.
There is more to be done.
One, the building is not yet completed. The outside walkways are not paved. Even the driving walkway are not paved. Because this building is actually a replica of what it looks like in Zambia. So when you look at Chadiza, a lot of things are not done. Two, we have also noticed that the floodlights are not working. Floodlights are not working.
Jubel Zulu, ZANIS, Chadiza District, Eastern Province.
Now, the rainy season often comes with various challenges in areas where residents have to use crossing points for movement. Wetland Province is one of the areas that is receiving high rainfall in this season. It is for this reason that residents of Kawoma village in Mansa District are appealing to government to construct a bridge across the Mansa River. More in this report.
Residents of Kaoma village in Chief Chimese's chiefdom in Mansa district in Luapula province have appealed to government to construct a bridge across Mansa River. For a long time, people have been using a makeshift bridge as means of crossing, thereby posing danger to human lives.
From 1964 until now, twachula kuno Kasamba zone. Na tukwata abana abasambira pana mwandwe pasukulu. Abana abaya kwa Kasamba kusukulu. Na Kasamba kliniki. Tatwa kwate emyendere isuma mkwai. Ama ambulance abalwere bana mayo bapapira fye munsila. Mulandu na long distance yakushoka kuchabala muwe na ambulance echo nde kitapi ukubutekwa bukikumine besho kutwafuisha mkwai. Elo muri uno mwenshi wa machi abana limu balaputikirwa n'okwabuko okuya kumasukulu.
Achula sana kuba amafumo. Kanshi uwe fumo ngale alwala pakumutwala fyapa. Ninkondo ibapo. Tuwalichula sana tuwafwe ni mwabuteko. Ama amafumo bale bambi bapapira na munshira kumulandu wa kutina katanta.
Shupa kutwafumia bukire. Abana nga baisa inganiri na yala bundemanza. Tulalanguruka no kulanguruka katera wa mwana mwana afikira wa shibati. Nababuka abana nabesa. Nabatwafwe tuli bena Zambia.
Marvelous Msonda is a resident of Kaoma village and has also appealed to government to work on the bridge.
Looking at the situation, this is not good. As you can see, this side we have a village known as Kaoma. This side we have the so-called Namwandwe village together with the Luapula hub and Namwandwe primary school. Now we have learners and these small ones moving from Kaoma to this area, and the bridge is not really good. Appealing to the area member of parliament of this area, they should work on it. This is not good, otherwise you will come late when the lives of people have been lost.
Baga skulu bantu bafuira pwapa pene. Abutekwe myao ya bantu ikala bale pweingi. Bafuira bantu abengi. Mukatwasukalira li. Twapapata mwe buteko twafweni.
Betsheba Katebe reporting for ZANIS News in Mansa district in Luapula province.
Chipata United coach Esau Zulu has blamed his team's 4-2 away loss to Kafue Eagles to poor officiating by the match officials. Zulu says the game against the Kafue-based opponents was not tough, but that the referees were controlling the game. Speaking in an interview with ZANIS Sports, Zulu notes that the referees mandated to officiate their match showed that the game was poorly officiated. He says Zambia will not improve its football if the mentality of poor officiating continues in all the local leagues. As we end the news, we take a look at the headlines once again. Southern Province Minister calls for measures to curb climate change. Nalolo farmers praise President Higa. 700 small-scale farmers benefit from feast in Luapula. And Senga Hill DC cushions workers against lead farming. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Juliet Mutale. Remember, we are one Zambia, one nation. Bye-bye.